picture this, right? Because, well, I know you have done it. I caught myself doing it just the other day, and it is so weird.
Oh, I'm sure we all have. What was it?
Okay, so you are sitting across from a really good friend at a cafe, having a perfectly nice time, but your phone is sitting right there on the table between you.
Ah, yes. Face down, obviously.
Face down, exactly, like this weird, I don't know, diplomatic buffer. It is signaling, hey, I am present, but I am also, totally accessible to the universe at any moment.
Right. Maintaining those invisible tethers.
Yes. And then mid-conversation, almost involuntarily, your hand just reaches out. You pick it up, you open an app, and you double tap a vacation photo from someone you have not actually spoken to since, 2018.
Then you put the phone back down.
You set it down, and you look at your friend and say, sorry, even though no apology was requested, your friend did not even care, and honestly, you are not actually sorry.
It really is the defining choreography of our modern social lives. We are physically in one room, but psychically, we are desperately trying to be everywhere else.
And the ritual of actually posting your own stuff is even worse. I mean, think about it. You order a latte. The golden hour light is hitting the foam just right.
Oh, you have to get the shot.
Of course. You frame it, you curate the aesthetic, you press share, and then the silent vigil begins. Your thumb just autonomously swipes down. Refresh.
Waiting for the verdict.
Exactly. 60 seconds go by, and it honestly feels like a geological epoch. Finally, 3 likes appear. A close friend, your mom, and an algorithmic ghost account trying to sell you cryptocurrency.
A classic trio.
Right, but the physical reaction to this is wild. Your shoulders tense up, your stomach drops, not because you got 0 likes, but because you got an insufficient number of them. We are just doing this bizarre arithmetic of anxiety all day long.
Well, when we look at that tension, that very real bodily anxiety you were describing,
Right.
we usually misdiagnose it completely.
Really? How so?
We tell ourselves that we are craving connection in those 60 seconds, and that a lack of likes means, well, a lack of connection. But we are not actually looking for connection at all. We have been trained to crave confirmation.
Confirmation. Okay, but I feel like those 2 words get used interchangeably all the time. What is the functional difference between connection and confirmation when we are just, staring at a screen?
It is a massive difference. Connection requires vulnerability.
Right.
It requires risk, unpredictability, and actual flesh and blood presence.
Things that are notoriously absent on a smartphone.
Exactly. Confirmation in our digital era has been stripped of all that friction. It has been reduced to a counter-ticking upward. It is a sanitized numerical proxy for the human gaze.
So it is just math.
Pretty much. Attention has been transformed into a fractional currency. When you tap that distant acquaintance's vacation photo, you are not offering them a gift of your actual presence. You are engaging in a microtransaction.
Wow. We are basically emotional day traders then, flipping these tiny fractions of regard across different platforms, just hoping for a return on investment.
That is a perfect way to put it.
But it feels like a scam.
Yeah.
Because you can accumulate massive amounts of social capital online, right? Millions of views,
Yeah.
and still feel entirely bankrupt at the end of the day.
Because the currency is completely hollow. We are accumulating all these receipts of attention, but we are growing emotionally insolvent in the process.
Emotionally insolvent.
Yeah, it is an economy that demands constant, relentless trading, but offers absolutely no actual sustenance.
Which begs the obvious question for this deep dive. If it is not nourishing us, why doesn't the thumb stop swiping? If we are running a deficit and this whole system is just making us miserable, what is the underlying psychological mechanism forcing us to pull down and refresh for the 20th time in an hour?
To understand that compulsion, we actually need to look backward, specifically to Freud and his concept of the fort de game.
Okay, Freud, lay it on me.
So, Freud was watching a young child playing in a crib. The infant would throw a wooden spool attached to a string over the edge of the crib saying, "Fort," which is German for gone.
Right.
Then the child would pull the string, reeling the spool back in and say, "Da," which means there, gone there, fort, da.
Oh, just throwing a toy and pulling it back over and over again. I mean, every parent listening knows this exact game, usually with a plastic sippy cup from a high chair.
Yes, and it is exhausting for the parent, but it is deeply, deeply necessary for the child. Freud realized the infant is not just entertaining itself.
What are they doing then?
It is attempting to master the overwhelming, terrifying anxiety of the mother's absence.
Yeah.
By controlling the appearance and disappearance of that spool, the child creates a simulation of loss and return that they can actually control.
Ah, I see. It is an attempt to master the void.
Precisely, to master the void.
So applying that to the cafe scenario, The phone is the spool. The photo I post of my latte is me throwing a piece of myself into the crib, into the void.
Yes, we throw our image, our curated selfhood, out into the digital ether. Fort, it is gone. And then we swipe down to refresh, reeling it back in through metrics and notifications. Hey, it is there.
That is unsettling.
It is. We are reenacting this ancient primal anxiety of being unseen, trying to master it through repetition. But there's a really dark difference between us and the infant in the crib.
Which is?
The infant was playing with a wooden spool. We are playing with our actual identities. And unlike the spool, which is physically retrieved, our true self never actually returns to our hands.
Okay, wait, let's unpack this. I am going to push back on that a bit because framing it as unresolved childhood trauma feels, I don't know, a little heavy for what might just be modern pragmatism.
Fair enough. Go on.
Well, a lot of people listening to this deep dive would say, hey, I am not playing a trauma game with the void. I am building a personal brand. I am networking. I am trying to grow a business.
The economic defense.
Right. There is a very real economic incentive to this behavior. We even have life coaches now. I saw one the other day, 28 years old, massive following, selling an incredibly expensive course called From Invisible to Unignorable.
Oh.
And the explicit promise of the course is something they literally call algorithmic intimacy. That is not a subconscious slip. That is a business model.
On a conscious level, absolutely it is a marketing strategy.
Yeah.
But psychoanalysis does not care about your conscious marketing strategy.
What do you care about?
It cares about the physical tightness in your chest when that strategic post underperforms. That phrase you mentioned, algorithmic intimacy, is chilling.
It really is an oxymoron, isn't it?
Completely. It is chilling precisely because it masquerades as a solution while operating on a massive delusion. It assumes that a machine, which is trained purely on engagement metrics and watch time, could ever replicate the visceral, unpredictable shiver of being truly seen by another human being.
Yeah, because an algorithm can figure out like what kind of shoes I want to buy.
Yeah.
But it cannot notice that I am suddenly parting my hair differently.
Or notice that you look a little sad today.
Yeah.
It cannot hear the slight tremor in your voice and ask what is wrong. It cannot just sit with you in silence.
Right.
True intimacy requires the possibility of misattunement. It requires friction, and frankly, the possibility of rejection. It cannot be optimized or guaranteed by a formula. When we try to optimize intimacy, we completely hollow it out.
You definitely see that hollowing out everywhere, especially in how we date right now. Dating apps are basically the ultimate realization of algorithmic intimacy.
That's 100%.
Swiping is not courtship, it is just inventory management. We sit on our couches evaluating a pixelated person holding a fish against 10 other pixelated people holding dogs, basing our decisions entirely on market signals.
Standing height, education level, geographic radius.
Exactly. We approach human connection as if we are buying a refrigerator. We filter for features, ignoring the fundamental reality of how human desire actually functions.
Because the unconscious mind does not care if someone meets your preferred height criteria or has a golden retriever.
Even if it is a very cute dog.
Even then, the unconscious fixates on the uncanny, the forbidden, maybe the unresolved echo of a past dynamic. Desire is inherently messy and inconvenient. You cannot filter it by zip code.
But the architecture of the apps forces us to pretend we can. So we just accumulate these matches like they're baseball cards. We build up this huge roster of potential.
And then what happens when you actually meet?
Well, by the time we actually show up for a Tuesday night drink, our capacity for sustained, genuine attention is completely atrophied. We sit across from a living, breathing person with a complex inner life, and our opening line is, "Oh, I saw your story about the tacos."
Tragic.
We offer them the absolute dregs of our depleted focus, and then we walk away wondering why the interaction felt entirely transactional.
Well, if we pull back and look at the sheer scale of this, we have to ask a pretty frightening question.
Yeah.
Where's all our raw human drive actually going?
Right, if it is not going into the date.
Exactly. Psychoanalysts use the term libido. Now, in popular culture, that just means sex drive, but it is much broader than that. Libido is raw life energy. It is the fundamental force that seeks fusion, creation, connection, and vitality.
Okay, so if that energy is not going into actual human connection because we are just offering people the dregs, what happens to it? Does it just, evaporate?
Energy does not evaporate. It gets redirected. Our libido has been captured, domesticated, and monetized.
Monetized life energy.
Yes. Every single tap on a screen, every double tap, every pull to refresh is a micro discharge of that life energy. It provides a tiny synthetic spark of validation that is instantly spent, leaving you hungry for the next hit. This is a textbook example of Freudian displacement.
Okay, break down displacement for me in this context. How is tapping a screen displacing my life energy?
So displacement occurs when the direct expression of a desire is too risky or unavailable. So the psyche reroutes that energy toward a safer substitute object.
Like a smartphone.
Exactly. Actual human bodies, actual vulnerability, the terrifying prospect of real-world rejection that is all highly risky. So we displace that desire for connection onto the safe, predictable interface of the screen.
That makes a lot of sense.
In the 19th century, Victorian individuals living under suffocating societal repression developed physical symptoms like hysterical paralysis to avoid the realities of their lives.
And today?
Today, we develop the compulsive twitch of the thumb to avoid the terror of an unmeasured, unobserved existence. The libido has not vanished. It has just been caged inside a metric.
Wow, that actually reframes the entire push for authenticity online in a really ironic way.
How so?
Well, the cultural backlash to all this highly curated, filtered perfection was supposed to be radical honesty, right? The messy photo dumps, the crying selfies, but it ends up feeling just as synthetic.
Oh, absolutely.
You look at an influencer preaching authenticity and they are delivering this heartfelt monologue about vulnerability while bathed in the glow of a strategically placed ring light using a caption they focus grouped 3 days ago.
We are so quick to label that as hypocrisy or just grifting. But from a psychoanalytic perspective, it is much more tragic than that.
Tragic.
Yes.
Yes.
It is neurosis. It is the classic return of the repressed. The conscious mind is screaming to the audience, I am real. Look at my messy room. Look at my unedited face.
While the subconscious is saying something else entirely.
Exactly. The repressed unconscious self is whispering, I am absolutely terrified of being ordinary and forgotten. The elaborate, hyper-managed performance of authenticity is actually the loudest symptom of its absence.
So the feed isn't a gallery at all. It's more like a real-time dream journal.
It is a seance. We think we are strictly controlling our public image, but the unconscious always speaks, and it speaks in the slips.
Like Freud slips.
Exactly. It reveals itself in the frantic typo that betrays your exhaustion, in the specific, subtle face filter that betrays a deep-seated body dysmorphia.
Or the time you post.
Yes. In the 3 a.m. timestamp on a beautifully written post about inner peace that completely exposes your chronic insomnia, the feed is a broadcast of our deepest, most unresolved conflicts, dressed up as a lifestyle update.
Okay, if we were all walking around bumping into each other in this digital space while broadcasting our unresolved conflicts, that completely explains why the internet is such a deeply cruel place. The comment section isn't a town square. It is a psychological battlefield.
The comment section is the perfect industrialized habitat for projection.
Projection. Unpack that one.
Projection is the psychic alchemy where we take the shadows, the insecurities, and the unacceptable desires within ourselves, disown them, and violently cast them onto other people.
Like the person leaving a nasty comment on that stranger's vacation photo, they type something like, must be nice to have a trust fund and no real job.
Exactly. That vitriol is rarely about economic justice or class critique. It is the commenter's own stifled desire for leisure, their own exhaustion, twisted into a mask of moral superiority and projected onto a stranger.
Or take the incredible cruelty directed at someone's selfie. You know, the hyperfixation on a minor physical flaw.
Yes, that is the commenter's internalized shame about their own body, weaponized and fired outward to protect a very fragile ego. We are not actually seeing other people online. We are staring at glowing screens and attacking the disowned parts of ourselves.
You can map that exact same mechanism onto massive cultural events too. The political flame wars, the outrage cycles, the endless cancel campaigns. The ideology doesn't even matter. The psychological function is identical.
Well, absolutely.
These are not rational debates about how to improve society. They are mass rituals designed to relieve psychic tension. It is millions of people momentarily feeling better about their own messy, compromised lives by locating all the evil in the world entirely outside of themselves.
And the relief of a witch hunt is always temporary, because the shadow you cast onto someone else always follows you home.
Listening to this, it feels like our entire internal architecture has been hijacked and outsourced to Silicon Valley. Let's take the superego, for example.
The internal moral compass.
Right, in classic Freudian terms, that's the internalized voice of your parents or society telling you to be a good person. That voice is basically gone. The modern superego is literally an analytics dashboard.
That is a brilliant way to frame it.
It is not whispering, be kind. It is flashing a red downward-facing arrow telling you, your engagement dropped 12% this week, you are failing.
Yes. The superego used to deal in morality and guilt. Now it deals purely in metrics and optimization. Shame has become entirely quantitative.
Which leaves the id.
Right. And the id, the primitive, instinctual, messy part of us, still screams for connection and release. But the id is adaptable. It has learned that the only language this new dashboard rewards is spectacle.
So the id stages a breakdown. It films itself having a crying fit in the front seat of a car, edits it, and packages it as relatable content.
The psyche does not care about the medium. It only cares about discharging pressure. If the only vessel our culture offers for your deepest, most desperate longing is a vertical video, your deepest longing will happily contort itself to fit that aspect ratio.
Which brings up a habit of mine that I am genuinely embarrassed to admit. But, well, I know for a fact I am not alone in this.
Oh, do tell.
I will be going about my day and something frustrating will happen. I will spill coffee all over my shirt, or I will miss a train. And before the annoyance even fully registers in my brain, a secondary voice kicks in and says, oh, this is great material. This is a hilarious story for my followers.
A content brain.
Yeah. Or, on the flip side, I will be standing on a beach, watching an incredibly beautiful sunset, and instead of just letting it wash over me, I am immediately auditing the scene. I am framing it, color correcting it in my mind, composing the caption.
Rather than experiencing it.
Exactly. Why do we do this? Why is our first instinct to document life, rather than simply live it?
This touches on one of psychoanalysis's darker concepts, the death drive.
That sounds intense.
Well, before you picture something violently tragic, in this context, the death drive is much quieter. It is the stubborn pull toward numbness, toward stillness, toward the cessation of feeling.
Okay, so how does that connect to taking a photo of a sunset?
In the attention economy, the death drive looks like the active choice to document rather than to experience. Every time you pull out your phone to frame that sunset, instead of watching the colors fade with your own eyes, you're opting out of living. You are erasing your physical self from the moment.
That is a bleak realization, because the immediate instinct when you hear that is to rebel, to say, okay, I'm done, I'm doing a digital detox, I am deleting the apps, I am buying a flip phone, I am going into the woods.
But even that doesn't work, does it?
No, because even the rebellion gets commodified. We have all seen the post-detox post.
Oh, of course.
Someone vanishes for a week, and they come back with a beautifully composed, aesthetically perfect photo of a steaming mug of coffee sitting next to a vintage paperback book. The caption is something serene about reclaiming my attention or protecting my peace.
And it gets so many likes.
Ironically, that post gets vastly more engagement than any party photo they ever uploaded.
Because the digital detox, as it is practiced today, is largely an illusion. It is not an exit from the attention economy, it is just a new performance within it.
Just a different genre of content.
Exactly. That photo of the coffee cup is a highly optimized market signal. It is signaling moral superiority, self-discipline, and enlightenment, which happen to be incredibly valuable currencies in the attention market right now.
So there is no escape.
There is no actual outside to this system. The algorithm is entirely agnostic. It does not care if you are posting about reckless partying or if you are posting about radical mindfulness, so long as you're posting.
This system just absorbs the resistance and turns it into more content.
Precisely. We are suffering from what we might call an ontological hunger. We have unbundled the act of paying attention from the act of physical presence.
Ontological hunger, I like that.
In the physical, analog world, your gaze has weight. To look deeply at one person across a table means you must withhold your gaze from the rest of the room. It is a sacrifice of your optionality.
You have to commit to looking.
Yes. But today, the gaze has been financialized and fragmented. We are drowning in thousands of fractional, meaningless glances, views, impressions, passive swipes. But we are utterly starving for a single, sustained, reciprocal look.
A look that actually means something.
Without that reciprocal gaze, the feeling of another consciousness truly seeing you and recognizing your existence, the self, begins to destabilize.
And that feeling of destabilization, that slipping away of the self, is exactly what keeps our thumbs twitching back to the app icon. We are desperately trying to fix a profound sense of unreality using the exact tool that is generating the unreality.
It is a vicious cycle.
Which leads me to what is easily the most uncomfortable truth of this entire deep dive. We love to cast ourselves as the victims of Silicon Valley. We say, the algorithms are manipulating my dopamine, or the tech billionaires hijacked my brain.
Which is only half the story.
Right. The reality is we are not just passive victims, we are active, willing collaborators.
Psychoanalysis calls this dynamic transference. The tech platforms did not invent our underlying psychological hunger. They merely recognized it and built a cathedral to house it.
A cathedral of likes.
We took that ancient infant hunger for the mother's confirming gaze and we transferred it entirely onto the refresh button. The platform is our new altar, and we are happily sacrificing our sustained attention, our lived experiences, and our psychic energy to appease this invisible god of recognition. The algorithm may dictate the sorting of the content, but make no mistake, our own unconscious desires dictate the meaning.
If you are listening to this right now, I know you feel it. You know exactly the sensation we are talking about. Think about that low-grade, humming dread that washes over you right after you hit publish on a post.
The immediate regret.
Yes, that hollow certainty in your gut that something essential, something vital and messy was just lost in the translation from a lived, breathing moment to a flattened, shareable asset. We try to brush it off, but that dread isn't guilt about screen time. It is grief.
It is mourning.
It is mourning for the version of yourself that existed just a few seconds before you decided to open the camera.
It is the profound grief of trading the chaotic, unscripted messiness of being alive for the sterile cleanliness of metrics. And we accept this tragic bargain every single day.
Why, though? Why do we accept it?
Because the alternative existing in the world without being measured, cataloged, and validated by an audience feels akin to annihilation. We have genuinely forgotten how to recognize our own inherent value without the funhouse mirror of the feed.
Which leaves us with one final, haunting thought to chew on as you go about the rest of your day. We have essentially dissolved the boundary between what is real and what is documented.
If it is not posted, did it happen?
Exactly. If an experience is not validated by an external metric, it starts to feel weightless to us, almost like it didn't even happen. So I want you to imagine what happens when the inevitable finally occurs. What happens when the last server farm fails, the power grids go down, and the cloud just, well, evaporates?
The total wipeout.
All your posts, all your metric, all those carefully curated digital ghosts you spent years archiving, gone in an instant. When that happens, all that will actually remain of your life are the unmeasured, undocumented moments you dismissed as unworthy of capture.
So real moments.
The quiet, silent breakfasts. The unshared, ugly laughter with a friend. The private tears you shed when absolutely no audience was watching. Those unrecorded moments, the ones you didn't optimize, might be the only truly real experiences you ever actually had. But by the time the metrics vanish for good, will you still know how to recognize yourself without them?